Welcome to Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. I'm Rob Wilson.
And I am an FBI agent. I'm Tony the
All right, and today we've got our very first guest on the podcast. We got our good friend Tim Robinson. Say hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim. What's going on, guys?
Not too much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tim.
So, Tim, you're actually the one who picked this movie for this week. We are doing Point Break, by the way, in case people didn't hear the end of the last episode when we announced Point Break. But it's a podcast, so you can listen to whatever episode you want before whatever other episode you want to watch or listen to. So, anyway. So, Tim, tell us, when was the first time that you ever saw this movie?
First time I saw the movie was back when I was in high school. My parents like a lot of the same type of movies, like action movies and stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, you gotta look at this. You would like this. It's got suspense and it's called Point Break." And I remember watching it and being hooked from the first time I watched it.
Awesome. What about you, Tony?
I gotta remember. So, like Point Break, I don't know if I remember watching it in high school. I remember when it was like out in theaters and kind of subsequently hearing about it. And it's kind of funny because you think about Tim, like Tim's the reason why I probably started watching R-rated movies before I should have been allowed to watch R-rated movies.
Well, didn't you watch The Exorcist when you were like 6, though?
Like Passenger 57 and Drop Zone. And I'm sure there's like a couple others in there. Probably Die Hard with a Vengeance, actually, as well. But Point Break wasn't one of them. Point Break came along closer to college is when I first saw it, which is interesting because Keanu Reeves was in it. And, you know, obviously by that point, I'd seen The Matrix and Speed and Johnny Mnemonic and Bill and Ted, right? But
yeah.
I didn't watch Point Break.
Yeah, I mean, I had seen several Keanu movies before seeing Point Break. I actually didn't see it till really late in the game. So it wasn't until like 2009 or so when I was... back when Netflix did DVDs, when they would send those out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the streaming part was just starting out with them around that time. But, you know, so I just started putting all these DVDs on my list of movies that just I needed to catch up on, that I've wanted to watch for years and just never got the chance. I figured I'll just Netflix them and, you know, watch all these movies. And Point Break was one of those. So, I mean, I remember when it was in theaters. I remember, you know, hearing about it, seeing clips of it and all that stuff growing up, you know, but never really got the chance to watch it until, you know, Netflix came around and I got the DVD from them and finally watched it.
That seems probably about the time that like it started gaining new life as well. But even like people remembered it, knew what it was, but I think maybe it was when like The Hurt Locker came out, because Catherine Bigelow directed that. That was getting a lot of buzz, and people were kind of looking back at some of her films, and I think Point Break kind of got reevaluated a little bit and kind of maintained kind of that cult status, right? It's an action movie that's got a cult following, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of funny because I think when I first watched it, you know, like, yeah, you kind of enjoy some of the familiar kind of cop, you know, undercover kind of tropes, and it's got the surfing angle, of course, which people like a lot, and bank robberies. It's got some really good action, but it's really well crafted for an action movie.
No, it is, absolutely.
Beyond like just a generic action movie like that. There's a lot that's happening in it that you don't recognize at first. And if you watch it again, you kind of start realizing that they're doing different things with it.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a philosophy. Patrick Swayze. I mean, come on, Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Swayze.
Because I think, he was, by the time we were in high school, like he wasn't as big of a star anymore as he was like in the late 80s and early 90s. But still Swayze. And it was like, almost seems like, you know, looking back at his career now, almost against type in some ways.
Yeah. I mean, highlights of Swayze's career. You got Roadhouse. You got Point Break. You got
Ghost.
You got Red Dawn. Yeah. You got the Chippendale sketch with Farley.
For everything.
Julie Newmar. And then you also have Donnie Darko.
Yeah. Later on you get Donnie Darko, right? Which is also good. It's kind of, you know, he's always like
Dirty Dancing, of course, like also, but
yes,
like he's like the pretty surfer boy in this one with the kind of rough look, not kind of the pretty boy you see in some of his other movies.
Yeah, so. And he's blonde in this one
Yes.
He definitely.
It is kind of
really
different to see a blonde Swayze.
He's got the everyday 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, we also didn't mention The Outsiders, but yeah.
Yeah, oh, right. Outsiders is a really good movie.
That's still one. I have never seen that movie. I've read the book, but I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, we read the book in middle school and watched the movie.
Ooh. Yeah, maybe we should do the movie on the podcast sometime. Too. Yes, it does. Ralph Macchio. Yeah, maybe we should do that movie on the podcast sometime because the book was really good.
It was really good. Good. For that age, like there's a lot of bad books we read in school, but The Outsiders is a good one.
Yeah.
Tim's like, I don't remember reading that book. It's like, we read at school?
Yeah, by the way...
you read books at school?
You may remember we have mentioned Tim on the podcast before. He's never been on the podcast until now, but we've mentioned him. I know it was at least in the Bill and Ted episode. Talked a little bit about you, Tim.
We did.
Did it have anything
another Keanu movie.
Did it have anything to do with JMU?
No.
Because that was an event.
It more had to do with your encyclopedic knowledge of hockey.
Oh, okay. Yes. There we go. Yes.
Interesting thing about Tim also, thinking about the action movies, like we would watch one of these movies when we were like, 12 years old, and then make these cop movies in the rec room they built above the garage.
Oh my goodness.
2:00 in the morning.
Yes. I think our friend Kyle was the killer in one of the movies.
One of them he was, yes.
And Justin was the victim. That movie could have won an Emmy.
So, but they did a remake too, right?
Yeah, they did. They did a remake a few years ago, which before you got on, Tony, Tim and I were actually briefly discussing this. So it's the remake where Chris Hemsworth replaced Swayze, and they also did a remake of Red Dawn where Chris Hemsworth replaced Swayze.
Yes.
Yeah, pattern going on there.
So,
and Point Break is referenced in a movie that we have done on this podcast.
Yes, Hot Fuzz.
So,
yes, one of the favorites of Officer Butterman.
Yep, there is a classic scene which we will get to when we run through the movie.
Yes, there is. And by the way, before we do start talking about this movie, get this out of the way. Spoiler alert. I know it's a 30-year-old movie now, but still, spoiler alert. We're going to be talking about every part of this movie, beginning, middle, and end. So if you have not seen it and you do not want to be spoiled, then pause the podcast, go watch the movie, come back and finish listening. If you don't care about spoilers, then keep on listening. But you have been warned.
Yes, Gary Busey will die.
Yes.
Patrick Swayze will die.
Well,
at least we think.
We don't know.
It's not.
We don't know
confirmed. It's not confirmed that Swayze dies.
All that time he spent in the ocean, you can't tell me he couldn't have survived that.
And
he most likely
without a shirt on.
No. My theory is that he eventually swam away. They didn't see him because he was able to hold his breath so long and swam away.
And you will see Lori Petty surfing.
Yeah, you will see.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Well, I want to get into this, okay? Since we're getting into it now. Whatever happened to Lori Petty?
I don't know. So just off the top of my head, the things the top things that strike me are, Point Break, Free Willy, and she was the voice of Livewire in the animated Superman show in the 90s.
She was also I looked at it. She did a bunch of late 90s, early 2000s, a bunch of voice work, right? She was also in A League of Their Own.
Yes, she is.
She's the younger sister of Dina Davis, right? Like you said, Free Willy, and then Tank Girl.
That's right, she's Tank Girl.
And then for the Pauly Shore aficionados, she was in the Army
now.
In the Army now, yes!
However, I looked this up because, apparently she's 60 now, which kind of makes sense, right?
People do get older. People do get older as time passes.
She's 60 and has blue hair. Where is my hair? There's my hair. That's Lori.
Wow. She still looks like herself.
Last year.
She still looks like herself, just with blue hair.
Yeah.
Blue glasses, too, it looks like. A blue tint to them.
Yes. Well, the eyesight goes, so I hear.
Yeah.
But But anyway, we'll get. She's in it. Lily Petty's in it as the love interest, right? Which I gotta respect that they don't make it the love triangle.
Yes,
right?
I am glad they didn't go that route with it.
Because it's been very easy to do this. Because like it's a cop movie, whatever. I mean, it's a cop movie, so it will have some of the familiar kind of tropes and kind of cliches, but it avoided the triangle, which is good. Yeah. But I always kind of liked how it starts, right? You get both main characters in their element, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Bodhi or Patrick Swayze. He's in his waves, doing his thing. And then cuts to Keanu. He's doing his training for the FBI, right?
Yep. He's
doing his targets.
He's got FBI
targets test,
being put on his first assignment.
So I like how they kind of cut it back and forth.
Yeah, that's great. That is a great intro.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have the cop donut reference when he first gets
yes,
when he first gets to the to the station and everything and meets everybody. Yes. I love it. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be a cop. You gotta have the donut.
Yeah, right after John C. McGinley, Harp, tells him that he requires a certain level of fitness and healthy eating and everything on all of the people in his team. And then Keanu grabs a donut.
Meanwhile, in the background, everybody's smoking, and yeah.
Because it is kind of like, it's like, they're FBI agents, but it's not like, still cops. And
mm-hmm.
I'm sure they have different levels of fitness. And
yeah.
I don't know. When I think of John C. McGinley, I don't think of this freak of nature. I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, I always, when I think of John C. McGinley, I always think of Dr. Cox from Scrubs first, because that's what I've seen him most in, because he was in almost every episode of that show. But then also, I mean, he has a lot of military roles and stuff. Like he was in The Rock.
And was he Full Metal Jacket? I need to take a look at that.
Was he in Full Metal Jacket? I know Adam Baldwin was in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, Adam Baldwin was, yeah. No, wrong Vietnam movie. Platoon.
Yeah, John C. McGinley was in Platoon. Yeah.
He was also in Office Space.
Yeah, he was. Odd character for what he usually plays. I loved his character in Office Space.
But, I liked, think about his character. I think kind of almost play it to the extreme of the uptight kind of government agent, right?
Yeah.
And it does it well. And they're going to kind of play with this in terms of, as you get into it, you're a villain. I shouldn't say a villain, but an antagonist. I mean, he's a villain, definitely, but not like your typical action movie villain, right?
Yeah. No, he was definitely an a-hole. I wanted to punch him in the face a couple times.
And Swayze has, Bodhi has this nice philosophy, and people not living their lives to kind of fullness and being kind of trapped within a box. And you can kind of see that in the McGinley character.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But you don't see it within all the other FBI characters. You obviously don't see it in Johnny Utah, which is just such a perfect name.
Yeah, it is. It's such a perfect Keanu name. But you don't see it in Gary Busey either.
No, I would say that was the next one. You don't see it in Gary Busey either. He's different than Johnny Utah, but he's a guy that likes to think outside the box, doesn't like to be kind of caught within the limits, but he also wants to find the bad guys. And
also what's great is right after Harp, John C. McGinley, goes through his little speech about you need to be physically fit, you need to be eating right, all this stuff to be on my team. Then Gary Busey comes in, and he's got a little paunch to him.
And by the way, kids, if you're gonna dive for bricks or anything, one, don't jump in the pool like Busey did, because I'm surprised he didn't do a belly flop or hurt himself. And you really shouldn't be swimming in the bottom of the pool or in a pool blindfolded.
No, you should not. Although the whole blindfolded diving for bricks thing was part of their training, but still, yeah, don't go swimming blindfolded. Don't go diving for bricks, especially if you're blindfolded. That's a good way to drown.
Yeah.
I like Gary Busey here though, because it's a very Gary Busey role.
Yes.
But he's actually one of the good guys in this.
Yeah. And it was before he started playing like the super crazy characters every time.
Yes. But he's like super crazy, but like he's in restraint of it in here too.
Yeah.
Right? You know.
Yeah.
There's more to it.
I mean, if he had survived, it's almost like this character would have gone on to be his character in Black Sheep.
Yes. I kind of wish his character would have survived. I
do too. That death hit me hard in that movie.
Yeah. It's like, okay, it wasn't necessary that he had to, anyway.
Get shot in the back.
Whatever happens, it happens. But this movie was originally titled Johnny Utah.
Okay. Kind of on the nose.
Yes.
But
then they changed it to Riders on the Storm. And then they're like, they're just going to think of the Doors. This movie has nothing to do with the Doors. And it became Point Break.
Yeah. I think Point Break is probably the best title for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. It also came out a week after another classic action movie, Terminator 2.
Ooh. They were that close together,
competition.
Huh? Wow.
Very, very different movies.
Yes. We have not done Terminator 2 yet on the podcast, but we're going to.
No.
We've done the first Terminator.
But
not T2 yet.
We'll do T2, which is one of my very favorite movies.
Yes, it is fantastic. And we are definitely going to be doing that one of these days.
So, back to the plot, right? So, he meets up with Gary Busey, and Gary Busey introduced him to the case they're working on, right? And it's the ex-presidents, bank robbers.
Mm-hmm. Each member of the bank robbing team wears a different mask of an ex-president.
Reagan, Carter, LBJ, and Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
So the 4 most recent presidents that were ex-presidents.
Yes, at that time.
Because
at the time that they filmed
George H.W. Bush was the president. When
yes, George H.W. Bush was president at the time.
So,
and Reagan was right before him.
4 presidents before him.
And Bodie, of course, is Reagan.
Yep. But, and we see the video footage of the robberies, and we're getting kind of like the rundown, and we see that, they do it within 90 seconds, right? They only get cash from the drawers and the tellers.
Yeah, they never go to the vault.
They don't go to the vault. They're very, very efficient.
They do it the same way every time. They don't want any surprises. They're in, they're out, and then they hit the next bank at some point in the future.
And they work well as a team too.
Yes,
right.
They're a very good
coordinated
team.
Yeah,
very coordinated team effort. So, and it's been I think at this point, it's been the last 2 years that they've been working the banks in the Los Angeles area. And Pappas has a theory that they're surfers.
Yep.
Which his other FBI colleagues kind of mock. So this is kind of where we were talking about earlier, where he's, a little bit outside the box for some of the other FBI agents that go around, right? You sense in him that he gets his thrill, I guess, in being a detective. He's got this mystery that he's trying to unravel.
Yeah, I kind of want to see the prequel movie that hasn't been made but should be made about his character.
I like that idea. Gary Busey's still alive, so we can do de-aging technology on him, and he could play the role.
Yes, he could, but like the actual walking around part that they put his de-aged face on could be Jake Busey, his son.
It is absolutely incredible how alike the two of them look.
Yeah, they have the same teeth. I didn't think anybody could have Gary Busey teeth, but Jake does.
The only difference is that you could tell Busey got into like cocaine in the 80s.
Yep.
So his nostrils are bigger than Jake's.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
It was a different time then,
Yep.
He's also been nominated for an Oscar, which Jake hasn't. But that's beside the point. So why is Pappas kind of believe the surfers? We get back to the team elements, like they work as a team, and then what was the evidence? It was like the surfing were wax they found somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. It was the wax. The surfboard wax that they found. Yeah.
That's right. It was on the counter. That's right. And they found that it's like what they'd like to put on the board.
It was sex wax.
That was the first thing. And then is the time frame. So like it's like during like the summer when I'm in the peak time, or when people be catching the waves and they go down and they try to find waves someplace else. Yeah,
and then they found then they realized they were surfers with the tan line.
Oh, the tan line.
Yeah, and the tan line.
The video of one of them mooning
him, and it said thank you
But
across
at
his
least
ass.
he said thank you. But you know what? It was very nice. At least he said thank you. So,
yes, one cheek said thank, the other said you. And there's a tan line right where swimming shorts would be.
If any of you are FBI agents and you ever encounter a bank robber that moons the camera, Tim would
look at the tan line.
Very good suspect because Tim might not have the tan line, but
he would happily write thank you on his ass.
The suspect has mooned the camera and there's no tan line, then it's probably Tim. If there's a tan line, it's probably not Tim.
I hope that down the line y'all get a comment on this podcast and it's from a cop going, hey, thanks to your podcast, I was able to solve a murder or something, because the guy did not have a tan line. So I knew he wasn't a surfer.
So, I don't think we brought it up yet. It gets brought up probably later in the movie. Keanu or Johnny Utah was a famous college quarterback for Ohio State, which this is one of the little details that kind of gets me, that if you're a famous college quarterback and he's about to go undercover, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Although, I guess if he's a famous college quarterback, then, I mean, as long as people don't know that he's in the FBI, because really his cover was he was a surfer.
Right.
Somebody who grew up in Ohio, could go out to California and become a surfer. He could. I mean, he had a good backstory for it. Like how much of it was made up, other than just like the whole parents dying in a car accident part.
Right. He crafts that a little bit later, right? Because he finds Lori Petty and she's a surf instructor in his shop,
and he doesn't know how to surf, so he needs to learn. And so he figures, I'm going to get somebody local to teach me. And then you get into that whole, especially it happened a lot in the early 90s. It happened a lot in the 80s too, but early 90s movies where they just happen to link up with the person who is connected to whoever they're chasing, whoever they're looking for.
Yes. Very early on, we meet Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, so Keanu meets Lori Petty, gives her a sob story about how he came out from Ohio and he wanted to learn to surf because he needed to get out of the Midwest because his parents died in a car crash, which wasn't true.
He's looked into her past. He's
looked into her past.
Right? He realizes that she could be a link into the community because supposedly it's always a tight-knit community that they have to get undercover.
Yeah,
right?
Surfers are very territorial. If they find one area where the surfing is great, they're not going to want to leave that area that's theirs. They're not going to want new people coming in. And he's wanting to get the best chances that he can to actually be able to find these people. So he...
By the way, this is, Drop Zone kind of borrows heavily from this as a skydiving.
Yes, it does.
Which also has Gary Busey.
Yes.
As a bad guy.
Oh, wow. But yeah,
and
so...
the person he hooks up with used to be the girlfriend of Gary Busey. And this time he was a bad cop in it, or an ex-cop that... Anyway.
But yeah, so while Johnny Utah is doing his research and everything on Lori Petty, on Tyler, her character, then he's trying to find something that can get him in, that can get her to trust him. And he sees that both of her parents are dead. So he makes up this backstory about his parents being killed in a car crash. And
I think it's a reasonable try to in. Right?
Yeah.
It's something that to get sympathy or empathy with.
Yeah. So he tells her his backstory and wins her over, and she agrees to teach him how to surf. So they're, when they're learning, then that's when Swayze comes in with his crew. And we find out that Lori Petty and Patrick Swayze used to be romantically involved.
Patrick Swayze's beautiful blonde locks in this movie.
Yes. Yes, Swayze had some beautiful blonde locks. But yeah, so then they're playing football or tossing football around on the beach.
Right.
And Swayze catches it. He's running, and Keanu's chasing him, tackles him.
Bulldozes him into the ocean.
Yeah. And so his whole crew's coming to try to fight Keanu off, and Bodhi stops him. And
this whole scene is weird because they're playing football. And he bull rushes him. It's not like they're playing on asphalt.
Yeah.
They're playing on the beach.
Knocks him in, not only in the sand, but in the water.
Yeah.
As the tide's coming in.
And they're surfers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're used to being knocked around.
Yeah. But yeah, so Bodhi's crew's coming to try to beat up Johnny Utah, and Bodhi stops him because he recognizes him as the star quarterback of Ohio State.
Yeah, then his brother then Bodhi's brother recognizes him as well, and like, oh yeah, number 9, man.
Yep. So from then on,
everything's copacetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From then on, he's welcomed into their group.
And they weren't given surfing lessons.
At this point,
movie, by the way,
Johnny Utah has no idea that Bodhi and his crew are the bank robbers. He's just trying to get in with some surfers so that he can find.
This is so early. He's just trying to get into the community and gather information.
Yeah.
What's fun about this too, actually, is that Swayze liked doing his own stunts. So a lot of what you see really is Swayze.
I mean, he and Farley were both doing their own dancing in the Chippendale sketch.
Another great Swayze role.
Yes.
But they all took surfing lessons. Just said, but I know Swayze did some of the skydiving too. He ended up cracking some ribs during the production. So, yeah, actors committed to the craft. But just let you know, undercover agents, they have to be committed to the craft.
Yes, they do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, they do.
They gotta be they're acting, right? So, Keanu or Johnny, he's always, he's always Keanu.
Yeah. We're going to be jumping back and forth between Keanu and Johnny and Swayze and Bodhi for this whole thing. So if that kind of thing bothers you, I'm sorry. It's going to happen.
This is how we talk about movies. Go watch something else.
But then you won't get our wonderful description of it, our discussion about it later.
So he's doing, his undercover work, he's living his life, and he's also going surfing, making sure he's staying within the community. I love the mornings out on the beach, and then crosses the wrong surfers.
Yeah.
With Ford Child and his crew.
Oh, yeah.
Because Andy Kiedis and the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes.
Is one of them.
Okay, so how many movies have we done now with Flea? We had...
questions. Someone mentioned this to me about them being in it. I'm thinking about this, right? It's like, what is it with the late 90s, the late 80s and early 90s, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yes, exactly. Exactly, because let's see, Flea was in, we did Big Lebowski.
He was in
Back to the Future 2 and 3. Have we done any more with him yet?
Let's find out.
What did he play in Back to the Future 2 and 3?
He was Needles.
Yes, he was Needles in Back to the Future 2 and 3.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And so now...
What's wrong with Fly, you chicken?
Flea's not in this one, but we have another Red Hot Chili Pepper in this one. Eventually, maybe we'll get the whole band. Gotta collect them all.
You gotta collect them all. They're come on.
No, that's gotta catch them all.
Well, by the way, Flea, I forgot about this. Flea is uncredited in The Outsiders. So if we do The Outsiders, we'll have another Flea movie.
Oh, wow.
They haven't done a whole lot lately. He's a voice in Inside Out, the Pixar movies, and Toy Story 4. Interesting. I've never seen it, but the Gus Van Sant remake of Psycho, he was in that.
Ooh.
So
he's also
you're talking the shot-for-shot remake with Vince Vaughn?
Yes. And Anne Hesh.
Yeah.
He was in Son-in-Law, which is another
Pauly Shore
Pauly Shore movie, and My Own Private Idaho, which was another Keanu movie. So, yeah, but no, that's it. Yeah, Back to the Future 2 and 3. Big Lebowski be the three that would have Liam. So, but yeah, he did a lot of stuff, especially late the 80s and early 90s. Which I guess first maybe made some sense because they were kind of a struggling band for a while. They were in LA, so he had a chance to maybe get some small roles in movies. But by the time Back to the Future came out, they were established enough. They weren't a huge success because Blood, Sugar, Sex, and Magic hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So they take umbrage to Keanu being on the beach.
Yes, so they attack him while he's in the shower.
Don't worry, it's a beach shower.
It's a beach shower. So he's got his trunks on.
Like American History X.
Yeah. It's he's washing the sand off. They have him at every beach. He's washing the sand off before he goes back to his car wherever he's going. That way he's not all sandy and itchy. Because if you get that sand in your bathing suit area, it's not comfortable.
Oh, Keanu gets that sand in his bathing suit area later.
Yes, he does.
He gets all kind of sand in his bathing suit area.
So does Lori Petty.
I know pictures of Tim getting sand in his bathing suit area. It's what, 4 against 1, and they think they're going to take this pretty boy down because Keanu's a pretty boy, right?
But Keanu is also an FBI agent.
He's a pit bull, though. He's a pit bull. He didn't back down from them.
No.
I love how Gary Busey, he's around the bend,
Yeah, he's doing surveillance from the car. And
first of all, why is he doing surveillance from the car across the street? Because then he's got to run across the street if anything bad happens.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also kind of on Keanu because he left his site. Yeah, he went behind the bushes to wash the sand off in the shower.
Okay, now Rob is actually talking about real bushes, bushes you would see out in your yard. We're not
actual plants.
Anything converted here.
Actual plant bushes.
Yeah.
It was some shrubbery. Anyway.
And that is where the attack happened. Behind the bushes in the shower.
But he had his dog with him. He pretended to have a dog with him, I guess. That's the cover when he realizes he's safe. He's like, "Did you see my dog go by?"
Oh no, that one he was
dog's later.
The dog's later. That one he was actually chasing 2 kids who took his car stereo.
It was the kids. That's right. It was the kids.
Yeah, he was looking for kids that took a stereo this time. Later was chasing the imaginary dog.
Scooby.
Yeah, Scooby.
In 1991, it'd be very believable for kids to take someone's stereo from their car.
Yep.
Not today.
Everybody wanted a tape deck.
Unless you're Justin and you have his car, then you have a car stereo.
Well, yes. His 1996 Accord.
Shout out to Justin.
30 years old. The thing is still running. It's got 400,000 miles on it.
Sidetracking for a second, I was next to them coming home from lunch last week, and I'm pressing my button on my 2018 Dodge Journey, and the window's going down, and there's Justin's wife waving at me with her arm pumping that window down. I'm like, how's your arm? Is it tired?
There is something to be said about any movies from that mid late 80s, early 90s time period. It's such awesome relics, right?
Yep.
Rob used to have one where the automatic seatbelt.
Yep, my 91 Honda Accord. Oh, drove that car
anyway
all through high school and my first year of college and years after that.
Until we went to go sign on the 303.
Yep. Well, we still had it when we signed on it. Signed on it, but it had finally crapped out by the time we moved in.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Anyway,
I remember when you came back out to Virginia for Tony's wedding, they wanted to try and give you a smart car.
Yes. Yep. They want to try to give me a smart car. Talked them into giving me a Hemi Challenger.
Yep.
Oh, and we saved. I saved the wedding with that car.
Yeah,
you did save the wedding with that car.
Because Tim, you had left your cufflinks at home.
we're not supposed to use names on that.
I know about that.
So a half hour before the wedding started, I had to drive you all the way home so you get your cufflinks, get you all the way back to the church, and we did it because we had a Hemi.
Made it on time.
Yeah.
We made it on time.
Yeah,
But back to a movie scene. When you first told us about them giving you a smart car, all I could think of was the scene from Splash, and Fat Jack jumped off the boat and he's like, "I'll be back with the little boat." Ron Pepper like, "The little car?"
Splash. Oh man, I haven't seen that in ages.
Me neither.
Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
Oh, Daryl Hannah, Tom Hanks. He's old now. You know, Chevy Chase is 80.
Really?
Crazy.
Wow.
He's 80.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But you don't really think about that, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyway.
These movies, like Point Break, it does not feel like a 30-year-old movie.
No, it doesn't. It's funny because, like, you know, any movie, you know, you're going to have the stuff from that era. I mean, you have cars or whatever it might be, but it feels, it feels present enough because they kind of keep it within a philosophy and relationships.
Yeah.
Without helping the day itself, right?
And
I mean, situations like, okay, yeah, you can tell that's the ladies are really nice, right?
And surfer culture has not really changed all that much.
No, it hasn't. Today become slightly more mainstream than it was then, but really hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So, you know, like Southern California, LA, you know, beach culture, like you're saying, yeah, just kind of stays what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might be walking down the beach, and there's people in a circle, and they have a parachute, and they're tossing the lady in the air.
And then you have one guy who's way too excited about it.
And then, what? It's at a formal dinner party of a respected Malibu businessman. Anyway.
Yeah.
But this group that he fights off,
if you want to hear more about that happening, then listen to our Big Lebowski episode.
Definitely listen to the Big Lebowski episode. Big Lebowski. Love that movie.
But anyway, continue, Tony.
So they kind of become the focus right now, like their investigation, right? Because, you know, it's the right number of people. It's 4, right? They're surfers, and they seem kind of violent.
Yep.
But at the same time, you kind of think about it, like, that would seem just beating someone up randomly on the beach would be a way of drawing attention to yourself.
Yeah, and
if you're in the process of robbing banks,
you don't want that.
Probably want to keep a low profile. So they kind of discover that, like, through the contacts, they're neo-Nazis, right? You know, who doesn't dislike neo-Nazis?
Yeah.
It's just the truth.
Yeah.
We hate Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah. If you listen to our Indiana Jones episodes, then you'll know that.
Yes. Which just happened, right? So, like, a Nazi got his face melted off. That's awesome. Maybe one day we'll do. I actually think it's kind of slightly overrated. We want to do Inglourious Bastards and be like, yes, Hitler got his face blown off. Yes.
Spoiler alert for Inglourious Bastards, by the way.
Anyway, so the track where these guys kind of live and decide to raid their house, right? You know, meanwhile, you know, Johnny's getting more and more drawn into Bodie and his group, and just kind of that lifestyle of a surfer.
Yeah, I mean, he gets invited to the party at Bodhi's house.
It's kind of funny. They quickly accept him into it. Like, they're wary at first, and then he kind of fits into that narrative. Like, okay, yeah.
Did we mention, though, that...
Surfers are tight.
Did we mention, though, that so after Keanu was attacked in the shower by the four guys...
outside. That's a good thing to mention.
So when the four guys, quad teamed Keanu in the shower,
the outside shower,
and it was Bodhi that came to his aid.
That's right.
Bodhi came and helped fight him off.
Yes, thank you. It's putting a whole new dimension to the shower attack. It's like a sub-secret Tekken level. Bodhi fights him off, right? And that's really kind of what helps cement him into the group, right? And it's
because that's when Bodhi realizes that Johnny is a pit bull because he didn't back down from these guys.
A pit bull. Yes, that's right. No, that's because he realizes he had kind of goes and just having that instinct of not backing down from adrenaline, right? In which he's a football player.
He's a football player and he's an FBI agent. So he's
he's gonna you would think that adrenaline is something that he's not that afraid of.
Yeah. He's probably had his adrenaline spike several times in his life.
Yeah.
There's nothing like being a quarterback and seeing some 350-pound dude chasing down a field.
Yeah. But, we didn't mention, it kind of comes back into play later, but we didn't mention when he was giving his backstory to Lori Petty that he ended up blowing out his knee, and that's why he didn't go pro.
Yes, that's why,
It folded like 90 degrees the other way.
Why did he go pro, right?
Yeah.
He's again, it's not like he was a college quarterback at some mid-level school where he's really good high school player and then just kind of an average college player. No, he was at the peak in college.
Yeah. He had scouts coming after him and all that. So but he ended up, bending his knee 90 degrees the wrong way. And that made it so he could not play anymore.
Dates it a little bit because now they've done a lot more where
they can just give you a new leg and you're good to go.
Like that. Or whatever. We got doctors that were that's right. I think a lot of orthopedics have that very athlete mentality in the first place.
Yeah. No, they do. They do. When you feel a pop in your hip flexor groin area and can't move your leg, and you get to go to orthopedic and they tell you that, hey, you tore your hip labrum. They send you to physical therapy for a few months and you get the thing better. So they do a lot better things nowadays.
Yeah, so that probably wouldn't be part of his backstory if the movie were made today. Or I don't know. I haven't seen the remake, but I don't know what his backstory is in that. But
I don't know. But
I took a stand. I did not watch that remake.
I did not watch it either.
I had no desire to watch it.
Nope, no desire. I don't think people are really clamoring for that type of a remake either. No. If they remade
especially since
they remade The Godfather,
part of what makes the original movies that they make remakes of, why so many of the remakes don't work is partially because of the time when the original was made.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Point Break is a product of the 90s, the late 80s, early 90s. It came out in 91, so early 90s. And I mean, even though we were just saying when you're watching it doesn't feel like a 30-year-old movie for the most part, it's still, it's clearly a 90s movie. It's got that early 90s feel to it.
Yep. But even within some of the philosophy is kind of breaking through these boxes and restrictions and being yourself and enjoying the moment, right? It's you can kind of see that as this push against kind of this yuppie subculture.
Yeah. And I mean, the late 80s, early 90s was when surfing was at the top of the zeitgeist.
Yep. And when you do a remake, sometimes it's a lot better if you change the circumstances of what it is. So, like, if you're gonna remake Point Break, you shouldn't remake it as Surfers, right? You should remake it as some other thing. It's that they're a group they're part of.
Which, I mean, I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they dialed back the surfing from what I've heard, they've dialed back the surfing in the remake. It's more about just extreme sports kind of thing. Like, they do more of the skydiving, and they have wingsuits and stuff like that more than going deep into the surfing part.
Now I'm interested where I get this wingsuit. I feel like this could be a new hobby for me.
I would love to see you in a wingsuit, Tim.
I remember you on the Eiffel Tower. But no, and I don't know, part of it's too perfect too. Like, so if we made it, came out in 2015, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Obama still would have been president. So then the ex-presidents would have been Clinton, George H.W. Reagan. Okay, Clinton and Reagan would have been funny.
Yeah.
But not as funny as Reagan and Nixon and Ford and then Johnson. And it's not going to have Gary Busey. So.
No, I mean it could, but it wouldn't. Yeah, so he's invited to the party.
That's right.
Yeah, Bodhi invites Johnny to his party at his house on the beach.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And it is the night before they set up this raid on these four surfers that that quad teamed Johnny in the shower.
Yeah.
The outside shower.
So they set up a raid to get in there and arrest these guys for, robbing the banks. And so Johnny is invited the night before that's supposed to happen to this party at Bodhi's house. And so they're there partying, having a good time, and they decide to go out and have a midnight surf.
Midnight surf.
Surfing out in the dark. Everybody's having fun. Since the attackers broke Johnny's surfboard, Bodhi let him use one of his.
It's so nice of him.
Yes, it was so nice of him. And so they were night surfing, he gave him a black surfboard. Something he's going to have a hard time seeing in the dark.
Almost harder than gold.
But yeah, so, they're surfing, having a good time. Everybody leaves. Everybody goes back to the house. Except for Keanu and Lori Petty. They go and
because this is a James Cameron kind of collaboration with his ex-wife, Catherine Bigelow, was obviously emotional catharsis.
Yes, just like Terminator, but no Terminators around. So
just sand.
I mean,
it's everywhere.
So
it's rough and coarse. It's everywhere.
I'm going to use a what's that movie? It'll come to me with Travolta. They got freaky down in the sand.
I don't know what Travolta movie you're talking about.
Yeah, me neither.
It's not that.
That's not Face Off.
No,
it definitely wasn't Face Off.
It wasn't Brooke.
It wasn't Michael. It wasn't Phenomenon.
Look Who's Talking.
Yeah, it wasn't Look Who's Talking.
It's not Look Who's Talking.
Is it Look Who's Talking Now? The third one?
No, it wasn't Look Who's Talking Now.
What about Look Who's Talking 2? TOO.
No.
It wasn't Pulp Fiction.
Well, Look Who's Talking has an implausible premise just because, the mom is Christy Alley.
No, it was from Grease.
Grease? Was it Grease?
Okay.
Yeah, because one of the lines in Summer Nights is "We got freaky down in the sand." Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what Keanu and Lori were doing when everybody left.
Yes, they got sand everywhere. All those bathing suit areas.
Sand always gets everywhere. It never leaves your car, by the way. Never leaves your car.
Or your shower.
All right. I'm sorry, Hayden Christensen, the line is not bad.
No.
It really wasn't a bad line.
No.
But Hayden Christensen butchered it.
I don't like sand. It's rough. It's coarse. It gets everywhere.
Yes, it does. That's why you need those showers to wash it off.
Yep. But yeah, so...
if you didn't think that somehow Hayden Christensen and Attack of the Clones would come up.
Oh, I always knew it was going to come up. As soon as I rewatched this movie the other day, and this scene happened, I'm like, we're going to be talking about Hayden Christensen. We're going to be talking about Anakin and Attack of the Clones and the sand line.
Takes place heavily on the beach.
Yep. And so Keanu and Lori Petty found out just where that sand gets. They wake up because they fall asleep on the beach afterwards, and
this is 1991, and so his wristwatch might very well have an alarm clock on it. It's possible.
Yeah,
might have the same Casio that John Candy had in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
It's possible. Yeah,
but they don't have cell phones.
No,
that will just have your automatic alarm for every day that, hey, you're about to raid.
Yeah, so he wakes up because the sun's beating down on him, and he realizes he's late for the raid, for his own raid.
His own raid.
So he gets up, he rushes out to his partners, and meets them there.
They're
late.
not happy with him.
They start teasing him about being late to his own raid, and so since he's undercover, they don't want to blow his cover, so he's sort of backup for everybody else. So Gary Busey goes around to the front, tries to distract them so that everybody else can go in the back. And Keanu notices that these guys in the house have big guns.
A lot of
big guns. So he's trying to get word.
Automatic rifles.
Oh, full automatic rifles. Yeah, and so he's trying to get word to Gary Busey, who is at the front door talking to a woman that was there, that was in the house.
Yep. And of course, in the next yard over, someone just wants to be cutting the grass. I guess,
yeah,
probably later in the morning, right?
Yeah, it's probably a Saturday or something.
Probably a reasonable time to cut the grass.
Yeah, so the guy across the street, next door, is mowing the lawn, and so Keanu's trying to call on the radio, but Gary Busey doesn't hear it because there's a lawnmower going. And so right when the guys in the house with the guns are about to shoot Gary Busey, Keanu busts in the back door and starts shooting. And so there's a big gunfight in the house.
It's a good scene.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a good scene. So the leader of this gang is out chasing Gary Busey. Or no, Keanu's chasing him, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, Keanu's chasing the leader of the gang.
Window at Keanu.
Yeah. So he jumps out the window at Keanu. He's chasing him. They go to the next door neighbor's house where the guy's mowing the lawn. And
he leaves the lawnmower.
Yeah. Leaves the lawnmower and it's running.
Nobody's going to steal it.
So they're fighting.
It's kind of a natural response.
Yeah, but they're fighting right over the lawnmower, which it's turned up on its side, so the blade is spinning.
I mean, I know you're fighting, but sometimes you got to have some spatial awareness.
Yeah.
Like, maybe move away from the lawnmower, but hey, it works in the scene.
Yeah, so the dude's trying to force Keanu's face into the lawnmower blade.
Even then, I
guess he thinks it's Sling Blade or something.
Be a good idea, but if he turns this on me, then it's me getting the blade. It's you still have the upper hand anyway.
Yeah. So Sling Blade is trying to kill Keanu with the lawnmower, and Gary Busey comes up and shoots him.
Yeah.
And saves Keanu's life. Saves Johnny Utah so that he can go on being named Johnny Utah.
I'm Johnny Utah. Mr. Utah.
I mean, Johnny Utah makes sense for somebody in surfer culture in California, but not for somebody from Ohio. And if there's somebody who's listening to this who's named Johnny Utah who lives in Ohio, I apologize.
We'd love to talk to
you. we want to meet you.
Just David Peters, right?
David Peters.
No, Johnny Utah. You need, I don't know.
But I guess he was a football player, so, I mean...
Who's that?
It is kind of a football-ish name.
I just need Hugo Weaving, though. Just be like, Mr. Utah.
Mr. Utah. Oh, yeah.
Quiz, Utah.
I'm Quiz, Utah. There's a bomb on the surfboard.
There's 4 surfers.
What do you do? What do you do?
I want to know where they're surfing so I don't get in their way. That was one of the best death scenes I've ever seen in Speed.
Oh, yes. We should do Speed.
Oh, we're going to.
Speed is going to happen.
Oh, we're not gonna do Speed, but we're gonna cover Speed.
gotta be correct what you say. Yep.
Yes.
We're gonna discuss the movie Speed.
Speed will be featured. The 1994 Jan de Bont classic featuring Sandra Bullock, Keanu Reeves,
and we may even talk about during that episode how
can't be up in a shower.
The best hangover cure is getting a sandwich from Jimmy John's and watching Speed.
Oh, excuse me as I DoorDash my dinner.
There's an aspect of Speed, but we'll get to this at another point. But Gary Busey saves Johnny Shaw or Pappas. Like, I guess, is Gary Busey have Greek descent? I don't know. Does he have Greek descent?
I don't know.
He's got this name Pappas, which is like kind of a Greek sounding name to me. I mean, it's because there's a Greek restaurant here that has that name.
I guess it's not like Papadopoulos or something like that, but
well, it could have been shortened.
It could have been.
I mean, like a lot of immigrant names. No, Gary Busey was born in Texas, then moved to Oklahoma and went to high school there.
Huh. Yeah, I think I remember hearing somewhere that he was born in Texas. I don't know.
Whoa, this is crazy because most people must live in Kansas. Rob does, and I did for a year. He briefly attended Pittsburgh State University.
Hey.
And then he transferred to Oklahoma State.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh State University is not in Pittsburgh, by the way. It's not in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
There is a Pittsburgh, Kansas, for those of you who don't know that.
Without the H.
Yes, without the H.
But he then transferred to Oklahoma State, suffered a knee injury at Oklahoma State playing football on a scholarship. And then he couldn't continue playing football, so he pursued theater.
Oh, he didn't pursue surfing?
The things you learn.
Things you learn about Gary Busey.
Oh, yep.
There's going to be a movie, The Gary Busey Story, and it's going to be played by Jake Busey.
Yeah, one of the best things about...
No one else has those teeth.
One of the best things about doing a podcast is all these rabbit holes we go down while we're trying to talk about a movie, while we're doing all this side research while we're talking, and we find these interesting little rabbit holes. I love it.
So, at the Oscars, right? A lot of times people kind of get nominated because they do biopics and they do prosthetics and everything like that, right? So, noses, other facial features, lips, whatever it was. Makeup can do that. But, Gary Busey's teeth would be extremely hard to do. But they have Jake Busey. Jake Busey can play his dad.
Yes.
And Jake Busey will win the Oscar.
Yes.
The Gary Busey Story.
Yes. I mean, you don't even really have to do, Gary Busey makeup on Jake Busey. They look enough alike.
No.
I mean, Jake Busey is definitely Gary Busey's son.
Which is a shame because then, the makeup artist will not win the Oscar for the movie.
True.
But
maybe if they cast somebody else and did a cast of Gary Busey's teeth.
There you go.
And gave whoever the actor that they put in that role, gave him those dentures to wear, then maybe that costume designer will get the Oscar.
Oscar Isaacs. They can kind of bleach his skin a little bit.
Yes, Oscar Isaacs. Yes, Oscar Isaacs with Gary Busey teeth.
I'm here for it. But not with Ryan, not with Ryan Johnson's director. We can find someone else. Christopher Nolan. He's up for this epic masterpiece.
Yes, he is.
He can direct a movie about Oppenheimer. He can direct a movie about Gary Busey.
Yes, he can.
And then he can recreate scenes from his movies. Lethal Weapon, Point Break will have Drop Zone, we'll have Under Siege, and most of all, we'll have Rookie of the Year.
Yes. Rookie of the Year. Yes. I just watched that movie a few weeks ago.
I watched that.
I watched it recently myself. Sure, and it took me to this year. It took me till just a few months ago that I realized that the kid playing Henry Rowan Gardner was in the American Pie movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. He is.
Kevin.
Did you know Daniel Stern is the director of Rookie of the Year?
Daniel Stern directed that? Really?
He directed Rookie of the Year. He not only starred in it, he was director of it.
All right.
They said, well, on some Wonder Years. What would you do?
All right. So they get back into the house after Keanu almost gets his face ripped off by a lawnmower, Tay Diggs style from Equilibrium.
Great death.
We're gonna have to do that movie sometime too.
Not by a lawnmower.
No.
Christian Bale did that on her.
Oh yeah, but anyway, they get back in the house, and then Tom Sizemore comes in with his cameo as a DEA agent who has been spending, how long was it?
Like a couple months, like 3 months, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
He's not happy.
Yeah, because these guys are not. They aren't the bank robbers because he has proof that they were somewhere else when the bank robberies were going. They were in Fort Lauderdale when the bank robberies were going on, or at least when one of the bank robberies was going on. Because he's been he's been undercover with the group trying to bust them for drugs. So he's not happy at all.
Tom Sizemore, by the way.
Yes, Tom Sizemore's great. He's
one of my favorite character actors of the 90s.
Yeah. So he's not happy at all because they just ruined his 3-month or however long it was, undercover work.
At least he doesn't get shot like Keanu does later doing his undercover work. Anyway, but obviously, like Harp or John C. McGinley, he gets even angrier at this now at both Busey and Utah.
Well, you would think that. So you would think that Harp would have to approve of their raid, right? In order for them to
you figure he would have some background too.
So he seemed, when he was yelling at him, he seemed like he had prior knowledge of Tom Sizemore's activities there.
They had DNA evidence that helped link them, which is kind of what was like the probable cause, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a scene, we mentioned it, but there's a scene where they're snatching hair off.
Yeah, they're snatching the hair off of people, and then they were testing it for that wax.
Yes.
And so they didn't necessarily have the DNA evidence, but they did have that particular wax in the hair of one of these guys.
There's enough probable cause for a judge to sign off on it.
Yeah.
But you would have also needed the approval of the acting superior, which would have been John C. McGinley.
Yes. And so it seems like he is the kind of guy who probably would have, checked things before approving the raid. And, he probably would have been able to find out that, there's DEA agent undercover.
Considering that he doesn't seem to like Pappas or Utah that much.
Yeah.
But he thought they had enough of a case. Anyway.
It just seemed like he had prior knowledge that there was an undercover agent there.
He's theoretically should have
doing things. So I don't know. That didn't really
I mean, you would think too then also that if there was something like that running through the FBI, that I'm certain that they might cross channel things somehow between interagencies to make sure they're not messing around
stepping on each other's toes.
Stepping on anybody else's toes,
So anyway, minor quibbles, but it's a movie, whatever. So
it still doesn't take away from the quality of the movie.
If we're not going to brag on Braveheart and Gladiator and other historical epics from having historical inaccuracies,
then why
some
action movie from 1991?
Kind of bureaucratic inaccuracies.
Yeah. So anyway.
So obviously, They're kind of still trying to figure out who are the ex-presidents. And Johnny's on the beach watching Bodie and the crew kind of surfing together.
One of them pulls down his pants and moons everybody. And Keanu looks at it. He gets this look on his face. He's like, I know that ass.
I know those cheeks.
I've seen that ass before.
I've seen that tan line.
I know it wasn't in the shower. The outside shower.
It doesn't say thank you. Maybe it still says thank you. Maybe it did. We just didn't see it.
It didn't, because it was a pretty clear shot. It didn't say thank you. But then he gets the realization.
It's the mere fact that someone is surfing and mooning people.
Yeah, like, I'll tell you right now, I don't have that kind of coordination. Like, it'd be a lot just for me to stand up on the surfboard, and, like, I would probably give it about maybe, like, 10 seconds before I fall over and, like, hit my face in the water or fall on the surfer next to me or, like, my luck, fall on a shark or something like that. So, yeah.
Hey, Grant, like, mooning while surfing, robbing a bank. Probably trying to think the two. I don't know, but I can get where he makes that connection. So, so Utah and Pappas decide to stake out the bank because now, like, all right, we gotta, because it's been a little while when they're expecting someone else to hit, and now we gotta kind of get more info.
Yes, they they figure out what the most likely bank is to be the next target.
How did they do that again? I can't remember how they.
I don't remember.
Deduced that.
He was trailing. They trailed Keanu or Johnny Utah.
That's right.
Trailed Bodie for like a day. And
that's right.
Followed him to like different banks.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like it goes back to early in the movie. Like because they're so efficient, they know just enough about the bank how to get in and out quickly. And that's right. He trailed Bodie, and they stake out that bank, and they get the munchies.
So. I've been wanting to mention this part since we're talking about it. Doesn't have a lot to do with the storyboard, but when Gary Busey wants 2 meatball sandwiches, and it's like, oh, it's only 11 o'clock, or it's not even noon, or it's only like 10 o'clock. I can relate to that as a fat kid because if you want a meatball sub or 2, and go get it, like. Let him have his meatball sub. And that brings me to one of my most disappointing parts. But we can get into that as we move on in the story.
No, but like Gary Busey goes into detail about this meatball sub and how this place makes the best meatball sub. And he keeps on repeating, get me 2 meatball subs. Go get me 2. Get me 2.
He must have been
get me 2.
Ecstatic when Keanu came up there. It was like, I think this is the next target. He's like, that's where that meatball sub place is.
Yes.
It's just like the Big Lebowski. It's like, oh, Larry's house? That's around the corner from In-N-Out Burger. so Donnie tags along.
Yeah, because he wants In-N-Out Burger.
It's near the In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah. So Gary Busey must have been ecstatic when he found out that was the bank. Right across the street from the meatball sub place.
I just got an idea for a meatball sub. So talking about meatball subs in the morning, like fried egg on a meatball sub.
Oh.
Oh.
So, all right. So
you know what? Sheets
a while back,
MPOs.
A while back,
I could try it from Sheets.
So you know how Subway has their new lineup of sandwiches that they brought out a few months ago, right? So the All American, ham, turkey, and bacon.
Yes.
A few months ago, I got one of those, and I had a bunch of eggs from my parents' house because they have chickens. So fresh eggs.
Yeah.
And so I went and got the sandwich, took it home, fried up a couple eggs, put them on that sandwich. Oh, it was delicious. It was so good.
Speaking of chickens, friends of mine have her parents. My friend Carrie, her parents have chickens and a rooster at their house, and they're like, "Oh, bring Dottie." They're like outside. But they're like, oh, bring Dottie. Maybe she can like play with the chicken, like play with the chickens or run around. And she was like, see what she does. And they had the gate open for the coop, and Dottie went in there, and I actually had to like pry a chicken's leg out of her mouth because she had the chicken's leg in her mouth. Like, Daddy, we're not catching our own dinner. Like, no. Yeah. Yeah. At that point, she had the right to get out of the chicken coop. Yeah. She was not allowed in the chicken coop anymore. It's my dog, everybody.
Hey, she's learned well.
Oh, she learned from me. Yeah. She can actually burp in people's faces, which is funny.
Definitely your dog.
Yep.
That's what you call nurture, not nature.
Yep. That's training right there. You ever think about becoming a dog trainer, Tim?
No.
The Tim Whisperer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so while Keanu...
The Horse Whisperer?
Yes.
The movie with Sam Neill?
Uh-huh.
He'd be the Tim Whisperer.
Yeah.
And Sam Neill will play Tim.
Yes, I like that. I like that.
I want Kevin James to play me.
I can see Kevin James.
Yep.
I would say that Chris Farley, but sadly...
Yeah.
I know.
He's not around anymore.
He'd be a little old, too, by the way, I guess.
He would be now.
Unless he de-aged a bit. We will be doing some Chris Farley movies eventually.
Yes, we will. We will.
Any Chris Farley fans.
We will definitely be doing some Chris Farley movies.
We will.
So while Johnny is getting the sandwiches, getting 2 meatball subs for
I like
for
how
Pappas.
this scene is shot too, by the way.
Yeah, it's like the camera's inside,
the camera's
looking through the window at Keanu and kind of at an angle.
You got Keanu in the foreground, and just kind of quietly the car pulls up quickly in the background.
So first up, before that though, before the car pulls up in the background, so he orders 2 meatball subs and a tuna sandwich and 2 lemonades. It's all like $7.
Hey, back in that day, wow. Yeah.
Like, Grant, I know at that point, like, food, like, carts and trucks are a lot cheaper, even cheaper than most restaurants. Now, like, food trucks would be kind of on the par with restaurants, right? But 1991, like,
now that would have been like a $40 meal.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'd have to, like, take out a loan now for that much.
But it was like $7.
Yeah. Maybe they give him a discount. Maybe Keanu got a 2-for-1 deal for the sandwiches.
Maybe.
Like, buy one, get the other one free.
That could be why. Maybe it was the day when they do a buy one get one, because maybe that's
2-for-1 Thursday.
Yeah, maybe that's why Gary Busey wanted 2.
He's like, I'm gonna get one now, and I'm gonna save one for dinner.
Yes, that'd be the smart way to do it.
No, not me. I'm eating both of them within 10 minutes. Yep.
You know, he would not approve of 2 meatball subs. Johnson McGinley.
No, he would not. He would not approve of 1 meatball sub.
He might approve of the tuna.
Yes, he might approve of the tuna. Yes, if it's on whole wheat, he might approve of the tuna. But he will not. He would not
probably
approve.
Not the lemonade.
Of too much sugar.
It's probably lemonade from concentrate. It's not fresh squeezed lemonade.
Yep.
It's from concentrate.
Yep. Plus all the sugar that they have to put in it to actually make it like not so super sour.
Yeah. Which is
metformin, you're fine
because of what's about to happen.
Yeah, so in the background behind Keanu, you see the car pull up and the ex-presidents get out.
Drives up in the background, and yeah, they come out and then pursuit, ends up becoming, Keanu sees that he's still got the meatball subs and kind of blows his cover, to be honest.
Yeah, very much blows his cover.
And I think it's funny later because they kind of play with the idea, like, do you actually know I blew the cover? Do you not blow? Do you not know?
When
it's very obvious he blows his cover.
Yeah.
Because it is Keanu.
Yeah. So the ex-presidents come out of the bank, get in the car. Gary Busey is going up to the car, and Keanu is chasing Swayze, who still has his Reagan mask on.
He's got the Reagan mask on, exactly.
So
and they get to a gas station, and because they shot out the tire,
it blows up.
Yes.
So the presidents have to switch cars. So they find someone by a gas station that kind of carjack, and Swayze decides to maybe play around a bit with the gasoline,
Yeah.
Which is actually perfectly in character with him.
Because he's going
to kind of push the limit. He's pushing the limit.
Yes, he's pushing the limit, and he's kind of just trying to get rid of the old car. So he's covering it in gasoline, and then he's going to light it.
Right. And then, like, you don't know, like, oh, is he going to try to light the gas station on fire? Because at this time, like, even outside of New Jersey and Oregon, you have full-service stations in other states, right, where someone will still pump your gas. If you live in New Jersey or Oregon, you still know about this. But then he had a choice. So from there to a foot chase.
Yeah. One of the best chases I've seen in movies.
It is a fantastic foot chase.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's a fantastic foot chase. They're running through houses. They're running through yards. It's kind of like
this is actually really well filmed. And
dogs are getting thrown. Like
it's what the Ferris Bueller's Day Off running scene wishes it could be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're running through houses. They're running through backyards. They're busting through stuff. It's amazing. It is a great foot chase.
Hot Fuzz does kind of copy it a little bit. Hot Fuzz is a nice little foot chase as well.
Of course it does. I mean, it's one of the inspirations for Hot Fuzz.
Yes. They don't play on it the same way they do at the end of the scene.
Yeah. But yeah, so Swayze jumps down into the drainage ditch.
All of it's very LA too.
Yeah.
The garden style apartments. You get the drainage ditch at the end.
And so Swayze jumps down into the drainage ditch, and as he's running across, Keanu jumps down, but hurts his knee. He lands on his bad knee.
Yep.
So he falls to the ground. And then you get the scene that Danny Butterman is obsessed with and asks about in Hot Fuzz.
Swayze pauses as he's about to go over the fence. They look deep into each other's eyes.
Meanwhile, Keanu has his gun drawn and he's laying on the ground, pointing it at
he could shoot him.
At Swayze. He's got him in his sights.
He's an FBI agent. This is an easy shot for him.
He's got him in his sights.
Very easy shot.
So, for all you FBI agents that are listening, don't take note of what he does in this scene. You see that shot, you take it. And for you criminals, I got to help you guys out too. If you're being chased by the cop and you have a mask on, don't gaze into the cop's eyes and sit there on a fence, like almost waiting to be shot. Because in real life, I don't think they're going to wait and like gaze into your eyes like Lady and the Tramp style there. They're probably going to shoot you in the leg.
They're just missing a bowl of spaghetti.
Don't stop and look and gaze in the eyes. Keep climbing, keep running, because you need to get away. All right? So just a little tip for all you bank robbers or, criminals who are trying to get away from the cops. But don't name me. My name on here is guest user, so,
Or do that. Gaze into the officer's eyes, into the agent's eyes. Gaze lovely into their eyes so that they can catch you. That works too.
Because you belong behind bars.
Yes. If you're a bank robber, then, you probably deserve to be arrested.
Behind bars, then you can get that jump that Keanu experienced behind the bushes at the beach, but shower.
Yes. You can be quad teamed in the shower, just like Keanu.
The outside showers. Wow.
But Keanu's gotten too close. He's gotten too emotionally invested. So he rolls over.
Yeah, instead of shooting Bodie, he rolls onto his back and shoots into the air.
Shoots an innocent bird in the sky.
Unloads his magazine into the air, just like Danny Butterman always wanted to do. And he finally got to.
I've always wondered when, in a moment like that, what if some poor innocent bird was flying directly overhead at that moment?
Or what if, the whole reason why you shouldn't fire guns into the air, what goes up must come down. What if one of those bullets comes down and hits somebody?
And that, folks, is why I'm not a cop, because I don't know if I'd be in that predicament, but one of the many reasons, is I'd be shooting in the air or shooting somewhere, and the bullet would, wind would get it, and it would come back and get me instead.
Yeah, so Swayze gets away, and then, the next little bit is, Keanu is trying to figure out if Swayze recognized him or not. They both know they know each other.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
It's not like you were wearing a prime minister's mask.
Nope.
It's like...
You were not wearing the mask of Queen Elizabeth II.
Maybe he thinks I have a twin.
Maybe he thought he was Alex Winter. But yeah, so then Bodhi invites Johnny to come along with them to go skydiving. Because when they're not surfing...
Before the skydiving, he spends another intimate night with Tyler.
Yes, he spends another intimate night with Tyler, who then wakes up and
she discovers that he's an FBI agent.
Yes.
Because she doesn't know yet, because she's not the next president.
Correct, but she finds his badge.
Yes.
And his gun.
And wakes him up by shooting the pillow next to his head.
And that was a nice pillow, too.
It was a nice pillow. It was a feather pillow. It had
about these types of situations.
Mm-hmm.
Just without the firearm. You know, they get you about these situations just without the firearms.
Yeah.
Layups, maybe, and other projectiles, but not firearms.
Yeah, I've had projectiles when I'm in the middle of the night, or not in the middle of the night, but in the mornings when I'm waking up, because my dog got fruit. Yeah. Well, that's a talk for another time.
But she leaves angrily, right? And then,
like most women
wakes
do,
up again. That's when Bodhi comes and they want to skydive. Because of course, Bodhi's also the skydiving.
Yes, because when they're not surfing, they're not robbing banks. They're skydiving because they have to get that adrenaline rush.
Yes,
they're adrenaline junkies. So they take him into a plane. He doesn't know if there's a parachute in his pack or not. He keeps asking. He asks everybody, who packed my parachute, and Bodhi says that he did. Then they do a little musical parachutes thing where they keep on. Oh no, use this one. Use this one. No, don't use that one. Use this one. Use mine. They just pass them all these different parachutes. So yeah,
it's like the Princess Bride.
Only there's no iocane powder in one of the parachutes. Yeah, so they all jump out of the plane. Everybody has a parachute, including Keanu, and they all make it to the ground.
The water.
Yeah, that's right. They jump into the water.
Yeah, they land in the water. Yeah.
And obviously, Johnny loves the jump.
Yes.
Exhilarating, right? He survives. He doesn't get flown into power lines by Gary Busey.
Fucking drop zone.
Anyway.
Oh.
But then, they get back into the van and in the back, and that's when Bodhi reveals that he's had Tyler kidnapped.
Yes. Terminal Velocity is another good parachuting movie.
Yes.
Another good skydiving movie. But
yeah. It's funny, like the person that kidnaps and is holding captive Tyler, his name is Rosie.
Yes. His name is Rosie.
So like that's the thing where the movie gets interesting, is it plays on kind of these the names, masculine, feminine names, right?
Yeah.
And like as Bodhi describes about Rosie,
he's a little bit crazy.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Tyler's a very boyish sounding name, and there's a lot about Lori Petty in it where like she seems a lot like one of the guys.
Yeah, I mean, right? She's got a boy cut, she's got, I guess it's a pixie cut is what that haircut's called.
Yes. To borrow a line from the 40-year-old version, Keanu, or Johnny Utah, has a lot of soft features.
Yep.
Unlike some of the other guys in the movie, like Bodhi or Gary Busey. But they reveal they kidnapped Tyler, and they need Johnny to go with them on the next bank robbery, and then allow them to escape and get to a certain point so that Bodhi can contact Rosie. And at that point, Rosie will set Tyler free.
Yeah, but if Bodhi does not contact Rosie, Rosie's going to kill her.
And Rosie will go do his thing.
And there's nothing that Bodhi can do to stop him from killing her
He's
except calling him.
No, he can't even call her because they're on the road.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is 1991, right?
Yeah.
No cell phones. You can't just send a text message like, everything's okay.
And, I mean, the way that Bodhi reveals this to Johnny is he takes him into the back of a windowless van.
Yes.
And there was no candy in that van. There was no candy. There was just a little monitor that he showed him video of Rosie with Tyler tied up.
With a knife to her throat.
Yeah. And so now he has no choice but to go through with them and join him on this bank robbery.
On the next bank robbery. So they're getting ready for the bank robbery. Bodhi's handing out the masks, but he doesn't have one for Johnny.
There's no John F. Kennedy mask.
There's no John F. Kennedy mask.
So Johnny doesn't get to be president.
Nope. And then they go in, and then they go further off script, where Bodhi wants them to go into the vault.
Yeah, Bodhi tells two of the guys to go into the vault, which they never do. They stick to the money in the drawers. They take the ink packs out of those, and then they get out of there within 90 seconds. But for some reason, Bodhi decided to go off script, and one of the hostages was an off-duty cop.
Right, and he's lying on his belly right next to one of the bank guards.
Yeah.
He's trying to talk with him about, hey,
I'm an off-duty cop. I have a gun. I can try to take these guys down. And the security guard is pleading him. He's pleading with him to not try it.
Yeah, I remember he asked the security guard, "Did he have a gun?" The security guard said yes. And let me tell you, if I'm in that bank and that guy is my security guard, I don't know how safe I'm feeling. I don't know if you saw, I don't know how quickly he'll spring into action.
Didn't do much better.
Huh?
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, the off-duty cop doesn't do much better.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, so the cop gets up, starts shooting, shoots Keanu twice in the chest in his vest.
Keanu tries to tell him.
Yeah,
brings out his badge.
He brings out his badge, tries to tell him he's undercover FBI. Off-duty cop doesn't care, puts two in the chest. So Keanu drops because, even when you're wearing a bulletproof vest, if you get shot, it's still going to hurt.
It's going to hurt like hell.
Probably.
It's going to leave a mark.
Yeah.
So then one of the bank robbers gets shot, and then Bodhi shoots the off-duty cop.
Yep. Then one of the other bank robbers does get killed in it, around it.
Yeah.
Right? Another one that's shot. So, and then you got Keanu, and then, so they have to, the Keanu stays. They leave Keanu. So
they knock him out.
Yep, they lock him out.
But what we didn't mention earlier, which might as well mention it now, even though it doesn't really come into play until a little bit later in the movie, but at the beginning, when Keanu first started hanging out with Swayze, they were telling him about the 50-year storm.
Yes, I was thinking about this. How we actually haven't mentioned this aspect of it. We talked about how Swayze probably dies.
Yeah.
But it relates to this, yeah. And
so
they talk about this in their first discussions when they meet.
So supposedly every 50 years, there's this storm that creates the biggest waves, a surfer's dream. And this particular storm that's coming up, a year or so in the future, is going to be in Australia. And so Bodhi, his plan is to go and surf those waves. He's doing everything he can to get there to surf those waves.
Because it's the ultimate rush.
Yeah. So that's his goal. That's Bodhi's goal, is to go and surf the 50-year storm. Nothing's going to stop him from doing it.
Nothing's going to stop him from getting to these waves.
Yeah.
He doesn't really care about the money. He just wants enough money to get him to the waves.
Yeah. So
that's it.
In their planning for this bank robbery, they mentioned that they were going to go get in a plane and escape through the plane, then parachute out and all that stuff. So Keanu knows where they're going.
Yep.
They leave him behind at the bank. He gets arrested because Harp sees him as just, as a turncoat. Yeah, as an accessory to murder.
Yeah.
So he makes Pappas arrest him, and Pappas convinces Harp to let him take him in. So gets him in the car, takes the cuffs off, and they go to the airport.
Well, first,
about Pappas's
he
insult.
knocks Harp out cold.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he doesn't have respect for his elders.
Yes.
He talks about, how when Hulk was doing some things that young boys do.
To the Sears catalogs.
Yes, to the Sears catalogs.
Anyway,
Lingerie section.
We'll leave it at that. What Pappas was still doing. Again, this is where I kind of really like the Gary Busey character. Gary Busey, and he kind of have a lot of respect that you think he's seen a lot of things, done a lot of things. And you believe he's actually a good agent, and just even how he kind of figure out other surfers. Right?
Yeah.
As opposed to Harp, who's just kind of the pencil neck. So he still arrests Utah, but then they head to the airport together.
Yep.
Well, before they head to the airport, though, my favorite part of that scene when Gary Busey punches him is when the sound of his head going on the floor. That's a great scene when his head hits the floor. Yep. That's awesome.
Yep.
Which John C. McGinley really knows how to play off scenes that he knows are going to be kind of humorous.
Yes, he does.
But playing it really straight.
Yes, he does.
Right before the humor hits it. He knows his character is like a joke, but he's skipping it the entire way.
Yep.
So they drive off to the airport. Utah's going to try to talk with them, get them to surrender. Pappas is kind of off in the background.
Oh, well, we didn't mention, though, before when they were planning the bank robbery, when they were getting ready for it in the van. That was when Keanu brought out his, I am an FBI agent.
That's right. We've talked about, we haven't even actually mentioned this scene right now. Yes. Right before the robbery, he's like...
Because they're telling him he's going to join them. He's like, I am an FBI. Oh, wait, no. It wasn't that scene. It was in the back of the van when he was showing the video. When he was yelling at Brody.
When he has to, rob the bank. He's like, I'm not going to rob the bank.
I am an FBI agent.
It's like the bit of Keanu voice in this movie, right? Every movie has a Keanu moment like that. Matrix just has whoa.
This one doesn't have a whoa in it, though.
There's no whoa.
There's no whoa, but there is. I am an FBI agent. Oh. But anyway, so Gary Busey's kind of sitting back, sort of covering Keanu while he's up there talking to Bodhi. So he didn't realize that Bodhi's brother Roach is in the hangar behind where Gary Busey is hiding, and comes out, shoots Busey in the back.
Yep.
Busey turns around, starts shooting back, hits Roach, but
kills one of the other guys.
Yeah, Nathaniel's killed. Pappas dies from his wounds. Roach is hit. He's wounded severely.
Yeah, severely.
And now it's just Bodhi, Utah, and Roach.
And they're in the plane. Plane takes off because Bodhi forces Utah to get in the plane with him, and so they're off. Bodhi helps Roach get his parachute on. The pilot doesn't want to go, but they make him take off at gunpoint.
Who can blame him?
Yeah. Yeah. So Keanu is not given a parachute.
There's two parachutes.
He doesn't need one.
Yeah, there's 2 parachutes, 3 people. Bodhi and Roach get the parachutes, and Bodhi helps Roach jump, and then Bodhi tosses his gun aside and jumps out, and Johnny decides that
he is the extreme.
Yes, he is the extreme.
I'm getting my man.
Yes. Johnny, even though this is his first assignment, he's determined to be that agent who always gets his man. So he grabs Bodhi's gun and dives out of the plane after him without a parachute.
I'll tell you what, though. He's lucky that he, navigated his way down to Bodhi.
Oh, yes.
Because if that's just like me jumping out the plane trying to get somebody, no. I'm probably going to miss them by a mile, and I'm going to be a big flat splat on the earth.
Very highly trained to jump out of a moving airplane.
Yes, this is a very good point, because Johnny Utah has 1 jump under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
And in that jump, he never did this kind of like aerial acrobatics.
You master jumping out of a plane with a parachute on your back first.
But not without one.
Before you can master jumping out of a plane without one.
Well, you usually shouldn't be jumping out of a plane without a parachute to begin with. But yeah. So he miraculously, catches up with Bodhi, grabs him.
Which, granted, again, it's a tricky thing because, you've got some good speed on you when you're colliding with someone else in midair.
Keanu's used to speed.
Speed of things, not the illegal stuff.
Yes, fast things.
Fast things. Fast buses. With Sandra Bullock as the driver.
But anyway, so he grabs Bodhi, puts the gun to his head, tries to make him pull the ripcord, but Bodhi refuses. He says if he wants the ripcord pulled, he's going to have to do it himself. He's going to have to drop the gun and do it himself. And they keep on getting closer and closer to the ground. Finally, Utah drops the gun, pulls the ripcord when they're...
5 seconds before they hit the ground.
About 5 seconds before they hit the ground.
Which would kill them.
Yeah.
At that point, just go without it.
So
they hit the ground hard. The parachute was able to slow them down just enough.
Not to even break... I mean, we would thought maybe it would still break some legs. I mean, Johnny's knee gives out.
Exactly. Then Bodhi goes on about how crazy Utah is.
He's one radical SOB.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's one radical SOB.
Yeah.
So then they see Roach on the ground, dead. He had died during the parachute. His chute was open.
What did they think was going to happen?
His chute was open, so he landed softly on the ground, but he was dead from his wounds.
But Tyler gets let free, right?
Yep.
Same for Ace. And
yeah. So
things get into places, and
there's too many people around for them to really get things into places at that point.
However, it is 9 months later.
Yes.
We jumped to the next.
Yes, jump to 9 months later.
Tyler's not there.
True. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so by the way, Swayze gets away. Tyler's let go. Swayze gets away with Rosie. And then
the guy, not a girl.
The guy that was holding Tyler hostage. Yeah, then it jumps to 9 months later. Keanu is standing there holding a little baby Keanu.
No, he's not.
Just kidding. He's not holding a baby Keanu. But there might be one. There might be one back with Lori Petty, though. It is 9 months later.
Right. It's 9 months later.
They did have.
Even it wasn't for the jump. There was the Sandy.
Yeah, they did reach Sandy emotional catharsis.
Anyway.
So no baby Keanu in Keanu's arms, but he is in Australia, and it's
record-breaking storm.
Yes, there's a record-breaking storm coming in, and so he's making his way to the beach because he knows exactly where Bodhi's going to be. Because Bodhi talked about this storm and how nothing is going to stop him from riding these waves. As everybody's leaving the beach, he's going toward the beach and sees Bodhi standing there, staring at the water, staring at the waves coming in. And goes up to him. Bodhi is talking to him about the waves, telling him that he's waiting for his time to go out there.
Yep.
And Johnny puts cuffs on him.
Well, first they fight.
Yes, they do.
They fight.
They fight.
Keanu's been...
Because Keanu's insisting on arresting him, and so they fight.
The ocean.
They fight in the ocean, and then Keanu cuffs him to himself, so he can't go and surf the waves. And while the Australian cops are encircling them, as backup for Keanu, Bodhi is pleading with him. He's begging him to let him go and surf.
Let him take one wave.
Let him take one wave, because they both know how it's going to end up.
Yeah.
They both know that nobody is going to be able to survive surfing those waves.
Bodhi would. That's my theory.
So, after a little bit more begging, Johnny undoes the handcuff. And Bodhi goes out to the waves, and as the wave comes out, he sort of disappears under it, and we don't know what happened to him.
Then we see Keanu walk off.
And Keanu
he has
walks
his badge,
off.
throws it in the water. And that's where we leave it.
So he walks out, and one of the Australian cops was saying, "You let him go. He's going to get away." And Keanu tells him, "No, he's not. No, he's not.
We'll get him when he comes back in." That's how they said that.
He's not coming back in.
He's not coming back.
I don't know if I would trust Australian cops. I don't know. They don't seem like the best group.
But yeah.
By the way,
you probably should have called HARP or something.
So yeah.
Factoid. Thing with the presidents. James Cameron has taken credit for that aspect.
No, for the presidents?
Yes. Because he kind of did, when he was married to Bigelow when he took on the movie, and he did some script stuff, and he said that he was responsible for that president's aspect of it.
Interesting. But yeah, so that is Point Break. So, yeah, because then the credits roll, and we never get confirmation on what happened to Bodhi. If he survived his surfing of the 50-year storm, or if the waves took him.
To a watery grave.
Yeah.
And it's funny, at that time, you had a lot of action movies had sequels, and Point Break never had one.
No, it didn't.
Just like The Last Boy Scout never had a sequel.
Well, I mean, The Last Boy Scout, it was The Last Boy Scout, so there couldn't have been another one after.
There's The Last Boy Scout.
Again. No, really, this is The Last Boy Scout.
Yeah.
But you know what? Lethal Weapon, Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, Die Hard, Speed.
They all got sequels. Some better than others.
57.
Murder at 1600 didn't get a sequel.
No. Murder at Downing Street. I don't know.
Splash didn't get a sequel.
Thank God about murders. Thinking about that, though, there was a Gladiator sequel coming out.
There is.
And I have no idea what to think about that.
I don't know.
I think it's a terrible idea.
I do too. And I mean, Ridley Scott's directing it. So, I mean, there's at least that. But none of the cast is coming back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's just got an older Lucius.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Is he going to be in it? Is he coming back on it?
The character is going to be in it.
Okay. Not necessarily the actor.
Spencer Treat Clark is not going to be in it.
Okay.
Who theoretically could be in it because it's been 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So it could just be an adult Spencer Treat Clark.
It doesn't make any sense. Especially because it's like original movie anyway. Russell Crowe died in it.
Yeah.
Like, I could see a prequel where you have Russell Crowe leading a campaign.
Or, I mean, they could do it like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, where Russell Crowe, gets back from Elysium.
Yeah.
So that he can save the princesses from the evil robot usses.
Ooh, here's something I avoided for now.
Okay.
Sorry, the things you look when you see the internet. Wife stabs husband with squirrel. So I'm glad I kind of avoided that right now.
What?
I was just scrolling through something and I just popped up.
Was this like she froze it?
It doesn't say. It's a screenshot of a news thing from Florida. And it says,
of course, it's Florida. That explains it.
Wife stabs husband with squirrel.
There just needs to be a movie called Florida Man.
Yes. Yes.
Even though he's from Michigan.
I guarantee there's one in production somewhere.
Even though he's from Michigan, Kid Rock just play Florida Man.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll take place all summer long. Oh!
Nice. All right. So, yeah, any closing remarks, guys?
No, still one of my favorite movies.
It's so enjoyable, and like it's funny because like we're talking about this, and I think I've seen it once with Rob. I don't think I've seen it any times with Tim, but like it's a movie we enjoy, and it's a movie that's been able to find its audience over time.
Yeah,
and there's a lot. It's clever in a lot of ways. How it's constructed is very purposeful.
Yeah,
like, it's a good example, I think, of a movie. It's a genre movie. But the production and thought that's going to it's a lot deeper than originally think. And then you need to watch it again to understand, like, oh, there's actually a lot more going on with this movie.
Yeah, there really is.
Right.
I mean, the first time that I saw it, I mean, I watched it, it was good, and I enjoyed it. But I mean, it was really not super special. But, you know, I enjoyed it better the second time that I watched it because, you know, I noticed these other things.
Mediocre kind of like action, or even just genre movies in general that are kind of just mediocre. It's like, okay, yeah, you kind of pass over this is what it is. And some hit right away of how great they are. Others like this, you need time. It's a good example. Really overlooking kind of a cop movie. It's an undercover movie. Let's say, like, there's not really a lot of action in this movie until like the second half of the movie.
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
it's really not.
You get like the fist fight, you know, on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Just
you get the shower scene.
The shower scene. And then, you know, eventually you get like the shootout. You know, that's what the shootout's like, kind of when you start getting into like the full action of it, right?
Yeah.
But that's even different than kind of what you get with a lot of movies. So yeah, it's worth checking out because it really is a good example of its time period. But it's also not a dated movie. Yeah. If you listen through all this and never seen it,
yeah, check it out.
It's not dated.
Check it out. Definitely
worth a watch.
And if you've only seen it once, and it's been like 15 years since you've seen it,
watch it again.
Watch it again.
Yeah.
It's probably, you know, I have no idea what it's streaming on.
It is streaming on Peacock.
He said cock.
Now that Best Buy is doing away with hard copies of movies.
Yeah. Yeah, bring back the physical media.
Yes.
Some libraries actually have really good DVD selections. It's actually a really good choice for people if you haven't thought about it, if you've never really looked into that. Some libraries have a good selection of movies that are really across spectrum. You know, going back to the 1940s, 60s, 70s, 90s, and present day.
Yeah, they do.
You might actually, you know, funny how, like, I don't know why Point Break is the movie that's bringing this up, but if you really want to find something that really want to kind of, you know, it's new to you, that you've never heard of, go to a library.
Yeah.
And just find something random.
Libraries still exist, contrary to popular belief. So, yeah. But anyway, so, Tim,
yes.
Is there anything that you would like to plug? Any projects you're working on or doing or anything, any fun, you know, anything you want people to know about? Where people can find you?
Just anybody in the Reston area. I am Northern Virginia here. I'm hosting karaoke on Wednesdays and Fridays at the Craft House in Reston Town Center from 8 p.m. to midnight.
And that is in Reston, Virginia, by the way.
Reston Town Center, Reston, Virginia.
Yes,
yeah.
If you're the Washington, D.C. area, karaoke.
Yeah, go check out Tim's karaoke. He is.
Tim does a good karaoke.
Yeah.
You like karaoke? Yeah.
And we actually now have Rob and Tony Cinematic Adventures on all forms of social media now. We've got a Facebook and an Instagram page. They're both Rob and Tony Cinematic Adventure. We've got a Twitter or an X account now.
It's X.
Whatever. Tony, what's that
one?
Give
them a follow.
What's the X? It's R&T Cinematic. Is that right?
It is R&T Cinematic.
R&T Cinematic.
R&T. No ampersand. It's A-N-D. R&T Cinematic.
Yes, and so Rob and Tony Cinematic Adventure on Facebook and Instagram. It is, you know, written out but then the actual just, you know, the @ Rob and Tony Cinematic Adventure, and then on the actual name on the account is ampersand Rob ampersand Tony. But yeah, searching, it'll be spelled out. But we also, if you want to reach us via email, we're Rob and Tony Cinematic Adventure @gmail.com.
But like us, comment wherever you are, follow us. The algorithms like it. If you're a movie fan and you're into Letterboxd, we also have a Letterboxd account, which is just Cine Adventure, CINE Adventure. I sometimes leave reviews of movies we have not done yet on here, so you can get a sense of reviews that we have or the movies that we want to watch.
Yeah. But then generally,
one day we will cover.
Generally, as we release the episodes, then we'll put a review on Letterboxd about that movie.
We will do a Letterboxd review, too. Yes.
So you can find us in all those places. Go ahead, if you enjoy the show, give us a like, give us a follow. And so Tony, I know we have discussed a few different options for the next movie.
We discussed a few, and another one came up. I was like, we need to watch Master and Commander also.
Yeah, we should do that one sometime.
I don't think Master and Commander should be the next one.
No, not next, but what's that?
I think Coda probably should be the one we go with.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So join us next time. We're going to be doing Coda, which was the Oscar winner for Best Picture in 2022.
Mm-hmm. Well, 2021.
2021 movies, 2022 ceremony. The Best Picture winner, Coda. The one that really only came out on Apple TV Plus. I mean, there was one physical release in France.
Yeah. They didn't get, it's funny. It was a Sundance movie that got steam. But to be able to actually be eligible for the Oscars, they still need some type of theater release. Otherwise, that would just be a TV movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So it was in select theaters, but as far as when it was released on 4K Blu-ray in France, of all places, but nowhere else in the world. Anywhere else in the world, The only place to really watch it is on Apple TV Plus. So if you got an account for that, then you're all good. If you don't, then
I actually haven't seen it yet, so I will need to watch it before the next episode myself. Otherwise, I will be lost.
Yes, you will be. But yeah, so it is an excellent movie. I'll get into all that, in the next episode, how I feel about the movie. But it is, it's check it out and join us for Coda. And keep in mind, this is not we explained that it was the Oscar winner for the 2021 movie season, 2022 ceremony. It is not the re-edit of Godfather 3, Coda. This is Coda, where Coda stands for Child of Deaf Adults. So we will see you next time for Coda.
Night.